Welcome back to Melissa, Arsenal Analyst. This is the channel where we do not do noise, we do not do panic, we do not do clickbait. What we do here is sit down, look at every piece of information available and give you the clearest, most honest picture of what is happening with Arsenal Football Club. And right now, what is happening is massive. This is not just any week. This is the week Arsenal Football Club steps into a Champions League semi-final first leg against Atletico Madrid. This is the week where every decision, every injury update, every word spoken by players and managers carries real weight. This is the week where seasons are defined. So let us get straight into it. Every story, every update, read exactly as it came, followed by what it truly means for Arsenal. The fixtures are set. The UEFA Champions League official account posted this week's semi-final first leg fixtures with one simple caption. This week, with a sunburst emoji, the graphic confirmed two massive ties, Paris Saint-Germain versus Bayern Munich on Tuesday and Atletico Madrid versus Arsenal on Wednesday. That is it. That is the confirmation. No more waiting, no more build-up talk. The draw is done, the dates are locked, and Arsenal know exactly what stands between them and a Champions League final. Now, here is how I see this. The positioning of these fixtures matters. Arsenal play on Wednesday, which means they have one extra day compared to Paris Saint-Germain and Bayern Munich. That might sound small, but when you are managing muscle injuries and fatigue after a Premier League win on Saturday, one extra day of recovery is not nothing. Arteta will know that. His medical team will know that. Every hour counts at this stage of a season. Simeone is the highest paid manager in Football Live. Score posted a graphic that has been making serious rounds online. Diego Simeone is confirmed as the highest paid club manager in world football. His salary stands at 30 million euros per year. Behind him is Simone Inzaghi at 25 million euros. Third is Pep Guardiola at 24 million euros. And in fourth place is Mikel Arteta at 18 million euros per year. The caption from LiveScore adds a sharp observation. Simone has not won a trophy since 2021, yet he remains the highest paid manager on the planet. Now here is what this really means. That number, 30 million euros, is a statement in itself. It tells you everything about how Atletico Madrid view Diego Simeone. He is not just their manager, he is their identity. He is the reason that club has been able to compete with Real Madrid and Barcelona over the past decade. His salary reflects his cultural importance to the club, not just his recent trophy count. But the contrast with Arteta is worth noting. Mikel Arteta earns 18 million euros per year. He has built an Arsenal side that is currently fighting on two fronts, top of the Premier League table and in the last four of the Champions League. The financial gap between these two managers is 12 million euros per year. And yet, when you look at what Arteta has built at Arsenal compared to where this club was when he arrived, the return on that investment has been extraordinary. This week, the two of them go head-to-head, the highest paid manager in world football against the man who has transformed Arsenal from a club in crisis into genuine European contenders. Arsenal face a defining double-header. Arsenal News Hub laid out the full picture of what Arsenal are walking into this week, a massive double-header. Atletico Madrid in the Champions League semi-final first leg, followed by Fulham in the Premier League. The injury concerns listed are as follows. Eberechi Eze is a doubt with a muscular issue. Kai Havertz is also a doubt with a muscular concern. Jurrien Timber is still out. Ricardo Calafiori could return in time. The early signs suggest that the Eze and Havertz issues are not serious. The post ends with a clear statement of the moment. This is exactly where seasons are defined. Squad management becomes critical. Rotation and depth must deliver. Minutes must be controlled smartly. Let me break this down for you. Two players going down with muscular issues in the same game against Newcastle. That is the kind of thing that forces a manager to make hard decisions very quickly. Arteta now has to calculate how much risk he takes with both Eze and Havertz against Atletico. Does he start them and risk a more serious injury? Does he leave them out and weaken his attacking options at the most important moment of the season? This is the kind of decision that separates elite managers from good ones. And with Timber still unavailable, the depth of this Arsenal squad is genuinely being tested right now. Wayne Rooney speaks on Bukayo Saka. Arsenal Buzz shared comments from Wayne Rooney speaking to the BBC about the importance of Bukayo Saka's return to the Arsenal squad. Rooney said that Saka has been great for Arsenal over the last few years and that while this season he has not always hit his highest level, he remains such an important player. Rooney added that getting Saka back at this stage of the season is going to be massive and really important. He described Saka as clearly one of the leaders in the squad. He also pointed to Saka's strong connection with Yuri and Timber and the midfield players. Rooney concluded that having someone the other players know they can rely on is huge for Arsenal. Absolutely huge. Let me give you my honest take on this. Wayne Rooney is not always someone whose football opinions generate serious analysis, but on this specific point, he is correct. Bukayo Saka returning at this moment is not just about what he offers on the pitch in terms of goals and assists. It is about what his presence does to the dressing room. He is a leader in that squad. He sets the standard in training, and when the big moments come, the other players look to him. Getting him back into the fold, heading into a Champions League semi-final, is a significant boost that goes well beyond his individual statistics. Now, before we go deeper into this analysis, if you are watching this and you want clear, honest, detailed Arsenal analysis every single week, hit that subscribe button right now. This channel exists for Arsenal supporters who want the full picture, not the headlines, not the panic, not the clickbait, just straight, intelligent football analysis. Subscribe. It costs you nothing, and it means everything for this channel to keep growing. Gary Lineker on the title race at Arsenal Radar shared extended comments from Gary Lineker speaking on the Rest is Football podcast about Arsenal's title race against Manchester City. Lineker said that Arsenal could face a tricky game that might decide the title race. He observed that Arsenal are just not really creating at the moment and that they were not like this in the first half of the season. He acknowledged that they look so edgy, but he also said the most important thing is the result, and they managed to get 3 points. He noted that Arsenal might go 6 points ahead of Manchester City before City play again, and that Arsenal's last 4 games are very winnable. He listed Fulham at home, West Ham away, Burnley at home and Crystal Palace away on the final day as Arsenal's remaining fixtures. He described West Ham as fighting for their lives and playing well at the moment, calling it a tough one. His overall verdict was that Arsenal have slightly easier remaining fixtures than Manchester City, but that City down the stretch are usually very strong. He concluded it is pretty much 50-50 between Arsenal and Manchester City. Here is the part most people are missing. The phrase 50-50 is both honest and uncomfortable because it means nothing is decided. Arsenal cannot afford to look past Fulham in the Premier League just because the Champions League is dominating the conversation. Lineker is right that West Ham away will be difficult. A team fighting for survival at that stage of the season is dangerous, motivated and physical. That is a banana skin in the middle of what could be a historic run. Arsenal cannot allow the glamour of the Champions League semi-final to distract from the grind of the Premier League title race. Piero Hincapié. As a standout performer, Arsenal Radar posted a tactical observation about Piero Hincapié, describing him as having easily been one of Arsenal's standout performers this season. The post noted that going forward, Hincapié does not quite offer what Riccardo Calafiori does, particularly given Calafiori's background as a striker when he was younger. The conclusion was that if Arsenal can keep both players heading into next season, the balance on the left side would be a serious weapon. Here is what you really need to understand on this one. This post is not just praise. It is a subtle argument for keeping both Hincapié and Calafiori at the club beyond this season. The left side of an Arsenal attack built around both of those players, one who offers defensive solidity and energy, one who offers an almost striker-like instinct when moving forward. That is genuinely a high-level combination. The fact that Calafiori could return in time for the Atletico tie, as noted earlier, makes that left side situation even more interesting heading into this week. Martin Zubimendi's performance versus Newcastle journalist Adam Keyes posted a specific performance analysis of Martin Zubimendi against Newcastle on Saturday. He described Zubimendi as one of the biggest improvements for Arsenal in that match. His passing was described as much more direct, more adventurous and more varied. Keyes noted that Zubimendi went long for the first time in months. He combined that with 9 duels won, 6 recoveries and 3 tackles, calling it a big performance. Let me put this in plain terms for you. The significance of this goes beyond one good game. Zubimendi has faced questions during this season about whether his passing range truly suits Arsenal's style. For a long time, the criticism was that he was too safe, too sideways, too conservative in his distribution. What Keyes is describing against Newcastle is a Zubimendi who looked liberated. If that version of Zubimendi turns up against Atletico Madrid, a team that sits deep, absorbs pressure and hits you on the counter, then having a midfielder who can switch play, drive forward and win duels in the middle of the pitch is absolutely essential. Atletico are built to frustrate. A direct, athletic, physical Zubimendi is exactly what Arsenal need in that environment. Mosquera speaks on Arsenal's mentality. Golna Chris shared comments from Christian Mosquera, reporting that Arsenal are calm and focused ahead of the Atletico Madrid tie. Scara said the squad is ignoring outside noise. He described the atmosphere inside the camp as one where there is no pressure, only a chance to make history. He added that the squad is focused, ready to step up and believes their hard work will pay off. Here is my take on what is really going on. When players and those close to the squad start using language like chance to make history, that is not casual talk. That tells you the level of awareness inside the building. These players understand what this moment represents. Arsenal in a Champions League semi-final is not a normal thing. The last time this club reached this stage was in 2009, over 16 years ago. So when Mosquera talks about a chance to make history, he is not being dramatic, he is being accurate. A Nwaneri loan update from Arsenal Muse. Arsenal Muse posted that Arsenal are set for a financial boost as Ethan Nwaneri's difficult spell at Marseille continues. The loan conditions have been altered after Nwaneri was omitted from the squad against Nice. Marseille will have to pay Arsenal extra fees following this omission. The 19-year-old was an unused substitute for the second time in 3 League One games as Marseille were held to a 1-1 draw by Nice at home. After 3 straight league starts under the previous manager, Nwaneri has not been included in the starting 11 since Habib Beye's arrival. According to L'Equipe, Nwaneri has given a persistent impression of nonchalance that has concerned officials on France's south coast. On the positive side for Arsenal, the Gunners could receive extra funds when his loan spell ends. Let me walk you through this step by step. There is a painful irony in this update. Arsenal sent Nwaneri to Marseille specifically to get more first-team football, more experience, more development. The man they trusted to deliver that development was Roberto De Zerbi, and De Zerbi was sacked 18 days after Nwaneri arrived. Since then, everything has unravelled. The financial clause being triggered is a small silver lining, but the real concern here is what this spell is doing to Nwaneri's development and confidence at 19 years old. Julian Brandt, Transfer Links, Liquid Guna posted that Arsenal and Atletico Madrid are set to battle on and off the pitch, with both clubs reportedly targeting Borussia Dortmund attacker Julian Brandt. The report indicates that Brandt could leave on a free transfer after contract talks stalled. His versatility, creativity and experience were highlighted as making him an attractive option for both sides. The account's own opinion was that while it is a smart market opportunity, they do not see how Brandt makes Arsenal better and that Arsenal should be going for the best in Europe. Important note, this is a rumour. There is no confirmed deal, no confirmed negotiations and no official club statement on this. It is a reported transfer link only. Here is how I see this. The timing of this link is interesting. Both Arsenal and Atletico Madrid are facing each other in a Champions League semi-final this week. And the same player is reportedly being targeted by both clubs. That adds a layer of intrigue to the tie that goes beyond 90 minutes of football. But I will be clear, until there is something concrete on this, it remains background noise. The immediate focus has to be Wednesday's first leg. Mika God's being scouted caught offside reported that Arsenal and Chelsea both had scouts present as Mika God scored a goal of the season contender for Ajax. The report stated that Arsenal have been monitoring Gods for some time. The full story was described as to follow. Now, here is what this really means. Arsenal scouting players is not unusual, but the specific mention of a goal of the season contender alongside confirmed Arsenal presence in the stands is worth noting. Without more detail, this remains a scouting interest story, not a transfer story. But it tells you that Arsenal's recruitment team is active and that they are identifying talent across Europe, even in the middle of a Champions League run. Luis Enrique's bold claim. Transfer journalist Fabrizio Romano shared comments from Paris Saint-Germain manager Luis Enrique. Enrique said there is no team that is better than Paris Saint-Germain. He stated that he already said this after the top 8 stage. He then added that Paris Saint-Germain and Bayern Munich are the 2 best teams in Europe, even if Arsenal also had a great season. He acknowledged that. In terms of consistency, Bayern are a bit ahead because they only lost 2 matches. Let me give you my honest take on this. Luis Enrique is doing what all top managers do before a big game. He is projecting confidence, he is building belief, and he is also subtly leaving Arsenal out of the top 2 in his ranking. That phrase, even if Arsenal also had a great season, is doing a lot of work. It acknowledges Arsenal's campaign while simultaneously placing them a step behind in his eyes. That kind of bulletin board material is exactly what good squads use as motivation. Whether Arteta will point his players toward those comments, only he knows. But the sentiment from Enrique is clear. He does not see Arsenal as the biggest threat in this semi-final stage. He sees Bayern Munich as his main rival. Odegaard and the short corner moment. Now, Arsenal posted a moment from the Newcastle game that captured something important about this Arsenal squad. Martin Odegaard was seen gesturing to the Arsenal fans to calm down after there were significant groans from supporters following 2 short corners in a row. The post confirmed that Arsenal scored from the 3rd short corner. The message was clear: trust these players, trust the manager, they know what they are doing. Here is the part most people are missing. This small moment tells you a great deal about the character inside this Arsenal squad. Odegaard did not panic. He did not change the plan because the crowd was frustrated. He trusted the process, trusted the preparation, and the 3rd short corner delivered a goal. That is a mentally strong football team. And mental strength is exactly what you need in a Champions League semi-final against a Diego Simeone side that will try everything to get inside your head. And Nwaneri'S minutes comparison, Daily AFC posted a stark visual comparison. Nwaneri has 0 starts under Marseille manager Habib Beye. He is averaging just 5 more minutes per match at Marseille than he was getting at Arsenal this season. Baye's public comment on Nwaneri was direct. He's a quality player, but he has to give us way more in his day-to-day commitment. Let me break this down for you. 5 extra minutes per match, that is the return on this loan move so far. For a player who made 37 appearances for Arsenal last season and scored 9 times, this is a significant regression. The Beye comment about day-to-day commitment is particularly concerning because it is not about quality, it is about attitude and work ethic in training. That is a different conversation entirely, and one that Arsenal's technical staff will be watching very carefully. Julian Alvarez doubt for Atletico. Arsenal radar confirmed that Julian Alvarez is a doubt for Atletico Madrid ahead of their Champions League clash with Arsenal. The forward missed their last game, and while there is hope he will be fit, his availability is still uncertain heading into the first leg. Here is what you really need to understand. This is potentially huge for Arsenal. Julian Alvarez is one of the most dynamic attackers in European football right now. He brings pace, intelligence, pressing intensity, and the ability to score in big moments. His absence or even his reduced fitness changes the Atletico threat significantly. It does not eliminate it because Simeone has enough quality throughout the squad, but it does alter the shape of the danger Arsenal will face on Wednesday. Arteta and his coaching staff will have studied Atletico both with and without Alvarez, and they will be ready for either scenario. And Nwaneri'S stats card, Marseille 2025 to 2026. The stats card for Nwaneri at Marseille this season paints a clear picture. In 9 League One games, he has created 5 chances, completed 131 passes, scored 2 goals, contributed 1 assist, made 3 tackles and committed 4 fouls. Let me put this in plain terms for you. On the surface, 2 goals and 1 assist in 9 games is not terrible production. But when you factor in that he has started none of those games under the current manager and that his total minutes are barely above what he was getting at Arsenal, the context changes. These are not the numbers of a young player who has found his feet and is thriving on loan. These are the numbers of a player who has been unable to force his way into the starting lineup and is picking up scraps of minutes here and there. The loan has not delivered what it was supposed to deliver. Atletico Madrid's injury crisis ahead of Arsenal. Now let us go deeper into the Atletico Madrid injury situation because this is one of the most important pre-match stories of the week. The situation in Madrid is this. Diego Simeone is dealing with 4 significant injury concerns heading into one of the biggest games of the season. Alexander Sørloth scored twice in Atletico's 3-2 victory over Athletic Club on Saturday. He had a late scare with what appeared to be cramp, but he confirmed afterward that he avoided injury. He had previously missed a match after picking up a problem in the Copa del Rey final defeat to Real Sociedad. His involvement against Arsenal now looks likely, and that is important because Sørloth is a physical presence who causes problems for any defence. Ademola Lookman has been absent since that Copa del Rey final and was unable to make the squad against Athletic Club. There is cautious optimism that he will be ready to face Arsenal, but cautious optimism is not confirmation. It is a wait-and-see situation. Julian Alvarez is the biggest story. He has not played in any of Atletico's last 4 league matches. He returned to the squad on Saturday as an unused substitute. Reports suggest he is dealing with a minor thigh problem, but there are mixed signals coming from Spain about his availability. Some outlets say he will be ready to start. Others say he is touch and go. The reality is that nobody outside the Atletico camp truly knows. David Hanko returned to light training last Friday but was left out of the squad against Athletic Club. He continues to rebuild his fitness and is not expected to be available. Pablo Barrios is confirmed out after picking up an injury against Athletic Club. That is a blow for Simeone because Barrios is a key component of Atletico's midfield structure. Jose Maria Gimenez is also racing against the clock. Even if he recovers in time, his starting place is not guaranteed. Let me walk you through what this really means for Arsenal. If Lookman is unavailable, one of Atletico's most creative and direct attacking threats is removed from the equation. If Alvarez cannot start, Atletico lose their most dangerous central attacker. If Gimenez does not play, their defensive organisation is disrupted. These are not small absences. These are key players. But here is the part most people are missing. Diego Simeone does not need all his players available to make Arsenal's night difficult. He is the master of structure, of defensive shape, of making teams uncomfortable. He won the La Liga title with Atletico without some of his biggest names. His system is deeper than any individual. Arsenal cannot afford to walk into Wednesday thinking Atletico's injury list makes this straightforward. It does not. For Arsenal, Kai Havertz and Eberechi Eze are both being monitored after coming off against Newcastle. The early signs suggest the issues are not serious, which is a relief. But neither player should be risked beyond their true fitness level at this stage. The second leg in 2 weeks' time is just as important as the first, and Arteta will be thinking about the full picture, not just 90 minutes on Wednesday. The Ethan Nwaneri Marseille nightmare. The Ethan Nwaneri situation at Marseille is a story that started with genuine excitement and has become one of the more difficult narratives in Arsenal's season. The logic behind the loan made complete sense at the time. Nwaneri is 19 years old. He has enormous talent. Arsenal wanted him to develop through regular first-team football. Roberto De Zerbi was identified as the ideal manager to unlock that talent. De Zerbi has an outstanding reputation as a developer of young players, and Mikel Arteta himself described the Italian as an incredible developer of young talent. But De Zerbi was sacked just 18 days after Nwaneri arrived. 18 days. The entire premise of the loan collapsed almost immediately. What followed has been a sequence of difficult moments. Nwaneri has not started a single game under replacement manager Habib Beye. He missed a decisive penalty that knocked Marseille out of the Coupe de France quarter-finals against Toulouse. He was fortunate not to be sent off for a rash tackle against Rennes in February. And now there are serious concerns about his attitude and commitment in training. The Marseille manager has publicly said Nwaneri needs to give way more in his day-to-day commitment. The French press have described the loan as a nightmare. And L'Equipe reports that Nwaneri has given a persistent impression of nonchalance that has concerned officials at the club. Here is my take on what is really going on. This is not a minor performance dip. This is a pattern of behaviour that has created genuine questions about the player's mentality and professionalism at a critical stage of his development. The situation is complicated further by the fact that Arsenal cannot recall him. There is no break clause in the loan agreement. He has to see it out. On the positive side, the loan terms have been altered to include additional fees payable by Marseille when he fails to play. So Arsenal will receive some financial compensation for the disruption, but money is not development. And what Nwaneri needed from this loan was development, not compensation. The question now looking toward next season is significant. The pathway back into the Arsenal first team has narrowed considerably. Max Daumann has emerged as a teenage sensation. Zubimendi and Noni Madueke have both arrived as senior attacking options. Nwaneri made 37 appearances and scored 9 goals for Arsenal last season. But the situation is this. The emergence of Daumann combined with the arrivals of Eze and Madueke has seemingly blocked Nwaneri's route to first-team minutes. Reports suggest he could be made available for sale this summer. That is a painful reality for a player who not long ago looked destined to be an Arsenal first-team regular for the next decade. Let me give you my honest take on the lesson here for Arsenal. This situation is about loan planning. When you send a young player on loan, the manager they are going to work under must be stable. If that manager leaves, the entire development plan collapses. And when a 19-year-old is in a foreign country, in a new environment, without the structure and the people who believed in him, things can go wrong quickly. Nwaneri has time on his side. He is still only 19. Great players have come through difficult loan spells and recovered, but the window for this particular loan to deliver anything meaningful is closing fast. So let's bring all of this together. Arsenal are entering the most important week of their season with injury concerns at both ends of the pitch, a title race that Gary Lineker calls 50-50, a Champions League semi-final against a wounded but dangerous Atletico Madrid side, and subplots around transfers, loans and player futures swirling in the background. Atletico's injury list provides some encouragement, but Simeone's track record in big European nights demands respect. This will not be an easy tie, regardless of who is or is not available for the Spanish side. The mentality inside Arsenal's camp, as described by those close to the squad, appears strong, calm and focused. Odegaard's short corner moment against Newcastle showed a team that trusts its process even under pressure. Zubimendi's performance showed a player rising to the moment. Saka's return adds leadership and quality. Calafiori potentially returning adds another dimension. And through all of it, Mikel Arteta earns €18 million a year. Less than Simeone, less than Guardiola. But what he has built at this club in this period is something that deserves to be respected and celebrated, regardless of what happens this week. Wednesday cannot come quickly enough. This has been Melissa, Arsenal Analyst. Subscribe if you want this level of analysis every single week. The title race is alive. The Champions League dream is alive. And Arsenal are right in the middle of both. Let us go. Come on, Arsenal.